Welcome to my fourth episode of my new show called In the Know with Nick. I have an absolute amazing guest here with me today. I'm very, very excited to introduce Anna Lovec with the Alchemy Company. How are you, Anna?
I'm great, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for coming to join me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun today. I'm super excited. So just a quick overview again, as I'm getting more into this, podcast that I've recently launched. I'm bringing on these very influential people that are really just pillars in our community that have amazing stories. And I'm just, asking them to share their story with us so we can learn from them and just have a really fun conversation. So again, today I'm here with Anna, and she is the broker owner of the Alchemy Company. And Anna, if you could just give us a little background on yourself and just give us a little intro on who you are.
Well, yeah, I'll start by telling you who the Alchemy Company is and
Perfect.
what we do. So alchemy means in a broad sense, taking something ordinary and turning it into something extraordinary.
Okay.
And so that's how the name, the Alchemy Company, came to be.
I love that.
What do we do? Everybody wants to know that, right? So we are an independent transaction coordinating company.
Okay.
I am a broker. I run the company like a brokerage, but I like to call us a transaction brokerage, which is not a technical term.
Okay.
Just a term that I use because it represents what we do.
Okay.
And so then what is a transaction coordinator? We handle all of the paperwork from contract to close for other agents and brokers in the industry. So we're actually a B2B.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've, been in real estate 20 years myself. You've been in the business a long time as well. You were an account executive, I think, before you started this company, correct?
I worked in wholesale lending.
Okay.
So that's where my career started.
Okay.
And kind of how I got into this volume game.
Okay. And we'll get into that a little bit. But I guess what I've seen so many different, the real estate agent that does the whole thing by themselves, the independent, thinks they can do it all and do all the paperwork. And then there's like the true pros that they align themselves with people like you guys that have that back end, the TC that really makes them shine through the transaction. I can tell when there's a rockin' TC in the transaction, it like makes a huge difference when someone's buying a house for sure. Or something.
Yeah. And what's kind of cool about us is we typically the lender never even knows who the TC on the transaction is, but we are known in the lender community because we interact with the lender. We send them what they need. We really try to make the lender's job easier as well. So for sure, that's kind of cool.
No, I mean, my assistant, when we plug in the TC piece on the real estate agent side, and when she's, she's like, I don't want to say my TC, but she's phenomenal. What she does, she makes me look good every day. Shout out Melissa. But she, it's when you have that partnership, like the real estate agent with the TC partnership, it's like night and day difference. When I see a transaction go through, it's game changer. So it's very cool. But so give me a little background on how you started your company. Give me kind of the early years. What did that look like? And kind of just walk me through that.
Yeah, well, honestly, it just came from hard work. I've worked in some capacity since I was 14 years old. I've always had a job. And my parents always instilled whether you're making your bed or you're sweeping the floor, whatever you're doing, do it 100%, do your best at it. So any job I've had, I've just worked really hard to be the best at whatever that may be. Okay. And then after I moved from Alabama to San Diego, went to San Diego State, graduated from there, was kind of getting my feet wet. I didn't really know what my career aspirations were. And then somehow through friends landed a job in wholesale lending.
Okay. First job, when you were
it was my second job.
Okay.
Yeah. I had been doing sales and marketing for a company and then
got into that.
Yeah. I mean, kind of my girlfriends were like, hey, if you want to make 10 grand a month, you come into lending. Right. I was like, well, that sounds perfect because I'm making $2,500 a month. So seems great. Let's go. Sign me up.
Totally.
It didn't work like that.
No.
It never does. The thought was nice.
Of course.
So that's kind of what lured me in. Okay. And in wholesale, you're working on volume. So all of these lenders are sending you their deals, and then you're helping to get those underwritten. And the client doesn't really know that you're on the back end working on.
For sure.
So you had to figure out how to manage a large pipeline. So that's kind of where it started. And then this was pre-market crash. The market crashed in 08 or 07, 08, right around there.
Right.
And then I actually got an opportunity to move into the real estate side.
Okay.
A broker was looking for an assistant. And I was like, sure, like I do lending. It's got to be the same thing. It was not. They're two completely two completely different jobs. But anyway, that's how I landed in real estate. Okay. And it was the biggest blessing because once I was there, I was like, oh, this is my niche. Like I enjoyed it. I loved it. And it was kind of unique because it was 08 and he was still, the broker I was working for was still like hitting it hard. He had his best year, I think, that he had to date in 2008. He was carrying 75 listings.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so I learned how to manage volume.
Okay.
And
that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. And he worked with a real estate coach, and this was 2008. And, that real estate coach really introduced me to using systems to run the desk and help run all the volume. So that was kind of like my intro. And then I learned about the transaction coordinating piece. And I was like, I know that I'm very good at this. Mm-hmm. And what I saw in the marketplace didn't really impress me. So I was like, I can go out and do this on my own and really make a splash in this community. Okay. And so that's essentially what I did 11 years ago. I was like, I'm good at this. I'm going to do this. And I just started doing it. And my systems were better than everybody else's. I was doing things differently than what people had seen in the marketplace.
Can you give me some examples? So obviously scale, you got to have dialed systems, but as far as, how did you create your systems? Did you do things because back then I remember files were we had paper files, right? And it was the industry was shifting to paperless.
So that was one of the, big differentiators for me. I'd already gone paperless. I'd helped the broker that I was working for go paperless. So we had gone paperless by 2010. I would say we were zero paper, which was very early to go completely paperless.
I think when I took my whole team paperless was around 2009, 2010. It was ditch the paper file. We can do it on the computer. Right. And everyone would fight it, right? The underwriters and everyone they wanted to touch something and to see it on the screen. That was kind of foreign back then a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. And it all changes, right? Because once you go paperless, you can't imagine doing what you're doing with a sheet of paper in front of you. Totally. So, but it's the mindset shift. And so, and then I found a system that I could really keep myself in check, right? Because my belief is you're going to forget something on a file unless you have something that tells you what to do on every file. You're human.
Right.
So I wanted to build a system that was just so infallible that we would never miss a step. But beyond the system, just how I created template emails, something that is common now, but was unheard of then. So I just systematized every
piece of the process. Nice.
And so every time an email went out, it looked pretty, it looked nice, but also had all the information. And I never missed any information because it was templated. So I wasn't recreating the wheel every single email. So I was saving myself time, but also making sure that every time it was perfect. So, my template emails might have 10 things on there that I have to delete.
Sure.
But,
it's faster to grab the template and just delete whatever isn't relevant. Yeah.
The template's just the thing that is going to cover anything that could possibly be in a transaction.
Sure. In fact, we use templates too. I mean, that's, we're open in escrow. We communicate with escrow. It's, grab it. Well, actually my system, but she'll grab those templates and push those out. And it's just efficient. It's fast. It's smart.
Exactly.
So that's cool. Okay. So
some of those early game changers where no one had really implemented it. And I just saw it, implemented it early and was able to run with it from there.
And so then kind of walk me through. So that was 2009, 10, 11. And then that's what you started your company in 2010?
2011.
2011. And then what happened from there? Kind of how did you evolve from, you started as yourself?
I started as myself, like many of us do, right?
Well, of course.
In the trenches, just figuring out how to make this thing work. So, from there, it was true alchemy, right? I had brought something, a service level to the industry that really they hadn't seen before. And I was getting so many inbound leads. Every time I would work a file, the co-op agent would be like, hey, can
I help?
Can you help me? Can we work together? And then it just started to grow and snowball.
Okay.
And so quickly, I mean, probably within 6 months, I brought on my first hire as an assistant, just like trying to like keep my head above water. Right.
Yeah.
And then I taught her like all of my ways and like melded her to be better than me. That was the goal. Right.
Love it.
And then it went from there. Like one hire after the next, more business. And then I was able to like really start focusing on marketing and like being out in the community more.
Start building it. Yeah. Okay. And then when did like the tipping point hit for you when you know you brought your assistant in, trained her, and then you started hiring on? Because tell me, you guys are how many? Well, let's talk about this. So you're in a complete women-ran, women-only business, which is phenomenal. I think it's like that's amazing. And that's by design, right? That
is by design. I mean, we are an equal opportunity company.
Of course.
However, that being said, I found that women 99.99% of the time are better at this job.
I love it.
So, make of that what you will.
Wouldn't disagree. But so I mean, how big is your team today?
We are 14.
14. Okay. And scale, you guys on a given month. I mean, I know, the markets are all over the board right now, but I mean, what's like a run rate? Like, what do you guys?
Yeah. So monthly... like in the height, in the height of the market, the last couple of years we were doing, averaging about 250 files a month. 250
files a month. Oh my, that is a volume to keep files. On. I mean, all the details that go into just one transaction and then multiply that by 250, you got to be on your A game for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's impressive.
Just, before I was coming on here, I was thinking about things and I was like, it looks like an easy job, but it's so hard.
It's not.
And that's why
you make it look
very
easy.
Few people who can do it really, really well.
Yeah. Well, and the ones that do it well, they stand out.
Exactly.
So to our real estate community out there, you guys, I think you're fairly, now that you're a, highly sought after, proven, successful TC company, you don't just bring on any real estate agent. You almost have to vet them out a little bit. Is that right? You guys do like a little bit of when someone, if I was to refer you to someone and say, hey, go meet Anna and her company, do you do some sort of a formal process to like make sure you want to work with people? Like they got to be a good fit for you guys?
Yeah. So, one thing that we've gotten really good at over the years is our onboarding process and just making sure from the beginning that we're a good fit for the agent, the agent's a good fit for us, because it is such a crucial part of the transaction that, we don't want an agent to make a change if we know that we're not going to be the right fit for them. So, I really spend time in the beginning going over everything we do from like day to day, like, hey, on this day, we're going to do XYZ for you. On day 3, we're going to be doing this.
Okay.
And then I also go through the things that we don't do. Hey, here's what's still on your plate, because we're not a catch-all. So you're still going to have to be negotiating repairs for your clients. You're going to have to give us verbiage here. Like there's certain things that just, the buck stops with the agent.
Of course.
So going over those things, because once if we start out on the right foot, we have the open communication, everybody knows what the expectations are. That's how we, move forward in a fruitful long-term relationship.
Sure. So you were talking about, I think maybe before the show, like long-term success, right? What does that look like? So for you, I guess the question is, what are the things that have helped you to, set the course so that you will make sure that for the long haul, 10, 20 years down the road, you'll have long-term success with your team or your business?
Yeah. So, one thing that's really unique that I've done in this business and that's really, I think is seen as a model now, and other people are wanting to do that, which is awesome, is figuring out how to structure this so it's not one person taking on all this business and getting burnout, right? So because typically it is working moms or working women, and real estate, if you don't kind of know your role and know your processes and your systems, and stick firm to those, you will work 24/7, because there's always
something.
There's always those agents, which is why they're good at what they do, but like they're going to ask for an inch, they're going to take the mile, they're going to like stretch you beyond your limits.
Right.
And so we try to meet them in the middle there, and because we always want to provide excellent service. But what we've done is, instead of having one TC on a file, you have at least 2 TCs on a file. So, you're kind of splitting that workload, if you get sick, people get sick. If you want to go on a week vacation with your family, like you can still have a life outside of just those files, because when you're independent, that is the hardest part. There's no breaks.
Right.
And if you don't shut off, like you will keep going, because someone's always going to email you. Someone's always going to
emails never stop.
The
business never closes. It's open 24/7 for sure. I get the 9 o'clock at night calls and emails, and it's just, so it's just, you got to jump off the merry-go-round for a minute, go be with the family. Let's talk about family for a second. So you're a rock star mom. I know this because I know your kids. You got 3 little ones at home, or they're getting bigger, but you have 3 little kiddos. How does that work? And because, I mean, you've got your company, you've got your family, you got to juggle it all. There's only so many hours in a day. Let's talk about how you're able to successfully be the amazing mom that you are, and then run this, successful company. That's a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah. So I would say I run my life a lot like my business.
Okay.
And it's very systematized. So everything is the same in our house every day.
Okay.
Wake up times, bedtimes, like what we're, everything's very planned out.
Okay.
So that definitely helps. But obviously, a huge help is our community, which
right.
For those of you who don't know, Nick and our neighbors.
We live right by each other. It's phenomenal.
So depending on, your support system, your village, like asking other people for help when you need it. I mean, I definitely am probably like leaning on some of the other moms more than other people for like, my kids need a ride to
pick up, whatever.
Pick up. Exactly. So a lot of that. And then my husband, their dad, is also very involved and helps me a lot as well. So
okay. Yeah. He's extremely hands-on.
I mean, really like all the people working together to make it work.
Yeah. It takes a village, as they say. Well, you make it look easy. So you did good. So, okay, let's go back to TCs and obviously, and again, we touched on this already, but, real estate agents out there that maybe have a TC, like, are you marketing to grow your business and go after more real estate offices, or how do you plug in within the real estate community to try and attract new business to you guys? I guess is a better way to ask that.
Yeah. I mean,
is it word of mouth?
All of the above. So, I mean, word of mouth is great, right? Because if one of your clients tells another agent that you're phenomenal, that goes a long way.
Sure.
Just like any business.
Sure.
But we're also at all the events where, I mean, if there's a real estate event in San Diego, like I'm going.
You're going.
And I've been going for 11 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of it, right? Just always showing up
and
there. Like every day, every month, every year, and just the consistency, right? So if you do anything consistently, it will eventually start to pay off.
Absolutely. Good. So, any other stories or tips that you want to share on, just on being a women ran business? I think that's such a unique thing. There's plenty of them out there in all different spheres, but, to listeners that may be either trying to start or get into that space, is there any suggestions you would give for being in that space? Women ran companies that are 100% women businesses?
Well, I think as you build any business, it's very important to make sure that you are bringing on the people that are the right fit and culture for your business. So, I think that that's one thing that sets us apart is I've been very careful with who I've brought on board, because I'm out in the community selling us as the very best TCs in the marketplace. So when we onboard a client, they better be working with the very best TCs in the marketplace.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you onboard a client, you lose them.
Sure.
So, and nobody wants to do the churn and burn, right?
No.
So I would say, aside from everything I've done, the real bread and butter are the TCs that the agents get to work with. They are truly the best in the business. And, I've done that very carefully to make sure that we've brought on the right people.
Love it. Are these people you've trained up? Or are they kind of like when you meet someone and hire them, are they new in the business? Or are you bringing them on? They've already got experience, or a combination of both?
We've done both.
Okay.
So I would say at this point, we're definitely looking for people who already have a lot of experience.
Okay.
But there again, we're not really looking for TCs. That has always happened organically, because I'm not going to bring someone on or grow just for the sake of growing. It has to all fit and meld and mesh together. and you really have to let that happen organically.
Sure. Well, that speaks a lot to your culture with your company is, you're not, a lot of companies, they just want to grow. It's all about the numbers. And so we got to add bodies, build and be the biggest or whatever. And biggest isn't always best. Culture is such a big thing. And you sound like you have just a phenomenal culture with your team that you have. Are you with the real estate agents that you have? Well, can you frame that up for me a little bit? So how many, if you had to guess, or maybe this number, total real estate agents in your network are you guys actively working with? I mean, you mentioned 250 closings. You got to have a lot more agents to be closing that kind of business.
I would say we probably have about 450 clients that
Okay.
were like actively, but like
Ebbs and
anything,
flows.
some of those clients might be doing 80% of the business.
Right. Of course. You got your rock stars, your top 10 that are doing like,
Right.
a lot of the business. Okay. But that's still a lot of, and are you,
but we're not, I mean, we will definitely take on a solo agent who's, doing 6 deals a year. Like, that's great. Like as long as they're a good fit for us, like we love to help.
It's all about the person, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, cool. You want to go a little deeper into challenges that you feel like are within the real estate and TC industry?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we touched on that when I talked about the challenge for this specific position. Well, it's for every real estate position and lending and anything in the industry, because it's like a go, high pressure position. But this role is typically working moms or working women. Okay. So and the time. So it's that time, like how to balance that. And so I think that's what we've done great at Alchemy is over the years, figure out how to really create that balance within a desk, because I see us, our business works a lot like escrow, whereas I see it as like different desks. And so, managing those and like creating balance within the desk. And that is why we have TCs like our Mendora, who's been with me the longest. She had her 10-year anniversary with Alchemy at the beginning of the year.
Oh, wow.
So, and pretty much all the TCs, like once they onboard, they're with Alchemy for life. I mean, hopefully, right? We're still going, but because it's a way for them to kind of run their own business, but with this structure that's already there. So they're not having to reinvent the wheel, worry about the business side, all of those pieces.
And is everyone working remotely? Was that pre-COVID, after COVID?
Pre-COVID. So it's always been structured that way since we started.
Okay.
And that is another benefit for working moms, because they can, they might get up at 5 a.m. to do emails. Sure. But then they can get their kids to school, they can pick them up for lunch or go to practice. Like, sorry. Okay.
But yeah, so flexibility in their schedule.
Yeah. So, people talk about life by design. Well, that's business by design.
Okay. I love that. Yeah. That's a huge, COVID taught it, it's like, you don't always have to go into an office, but the fact that you're already doing that prior, speaks a lot. You guys figured out and you had systems in place. Your technology, what kind of, are you using like specific software that like helps you guys with your organization? Did you design this, or is it off the shelf stuff? Like, how did you develop your day-to-day for your desks?
Yeah. So I used a pre-developed system that was 100% customizable. So I've actually been using the same system since I started the business, which is kind of crazy. But I knew when I started the business exactly how I needed the software to run. Okay. So I was able to build it out from there. Okay. And then once you the hardest part is having people buy into systems, right? They want to do it their own way, or they think they have a better way. Right. Once you teach someone the system that we built and they realize how good it is, everybody buys in. And then like people can't do it without the system, right? Yep.
I've had systems I built years and years ago, and then, people that worked with us, and then they went and worked somewhere else. And I found out they took the system, they took it over there. And, it's like when you have something that it's not broken, you're not going to fix it, right? Exactly. You're just going to keep doing it the way you've done it. So
and we've added some layers on, but that like core system is still there functioning what most everybody uses.
Okay. What is your take, this kind of off the cuff here on, because we're getting so much more advanced with artificial intelligence, on my business, the way that we underwrite loans, it's gotten so much more progressive. So, even like we have like, technology that'll underwrite loans now. right? I mean, it's just progressively getting faster. A lot of that human element is being replaced with technology. Are you seeing that in your space where, you know, the efficiency pickup is happening with as technology is improving? Or, I mean, does that make sense what I'm?
Yeah. So a lot of things that I kind of was pioneering in the beginning and
Okay.
kind of trailblazing through, now
Caught up.
so many other people are doing those.
Okay.
I would say almost, but sometimes like now I think people are doing them to the detriment of their business because like, here's an example. TCs will send out contingency removals to agents. So they'll have those like automated to send out. This is just one example. Well, we don't automate those because things change in the transaction. So we like want to keep that personal touch of like knowing what's going on in our files, you know, looking out for our clients, and the clients recognize that and respect that because we're truly a part of their deal versus just putting it into a system and letting the system like
do all the work.
Run. Yeah. All the automation.
Okay.
So it's like, you want to be systematized and automated, but you also like, if you're going to, it depends on what you want in the marketplace, right?
Sure.
Like, so if you just want an automated, cheap product, like that's what you're going to, that's just not who we are. So
you want to be Walmart, you want to be Target, Nordstrom's, whatever, like what level of service and what you're going to pay depending on what you're going for. Okay. Very cool. Do you have anything else you want to touch on related to Alchemy? Your business? I mean, you've got a phenomenal story and I appreciate your time very much because you're a busy lady.
No, I mean, I really attribute all the success of Alchemy to our TCs because without them, like
the people,
we would be nothing. Right. Yeah. Like I can go out there and I can talk to people and I can like get our brand awareness up, but like, you know, it's all about the TCs.
Absolutely. But they also want to work for someone like yourself. That's, you know, a phenomenal leader. So, I mean, it speaks volume.
I try to make it easy for them, right?
You attract good people. That's good. And you have a great team. So, for those that haven't given the Alchemy Company a chance, get in there, give them a call. All your information will provide, you know, for people to be able to easily get in touch with you. So, I've had a great time chatting with you and I thank you for coming and hanging out with me. Yeah. All right, cool.